Guys, we're back with the next episode of our Sryth Fantasy Text-Based RPG. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out with me. Let's go. So last time what we were doing is some quests for the Thane Pyrond of Trithik, and he told me to go check out Cornwell or something. They're having some issues there. Oh yeah, there's an error there. Cornwell. He wanted me to just check it out and come back and report, but I'm just going to remain here and investigate and resolve it, if at all that is possible. So let's go. Less than a mile into the woods, you came upon a dark hole leading down to the earth that Rector Pelbrin spoke of. To the south and north, some distance off from the trees, you see several tall standing stones. Careful examination of the immediate area reveals that much of the surrounding vegetation is covered with a fine grey dust. You can only surmise that the standing stone that once covered the dark hole was disintegrated by powerful magic. The dark opening in the earth appears to be an entrance to a cave. So we're dealing with magic. Yellow blobs. You stand at the edge of the dark opening in the forest floor, peering down the shadowy mouth of a long hidden cave. The surrounding forest is eerily quiet, and you can't help but feel the unseen eyes are following you. Unseen eyes have been following me a long time. Roll down there. Wow. This is some cave right here. Alright. In the midst of the intersection of the cave passages, you encounter a man in a leather tunic bending over a charred corpse. Upon your arrival, the tall, thin man draws up to his full height and regards you with an icy stare. You're quick to note that the back of his hands bear a red diamond tattoo. Without a word, the man rises his right hand. Fire begins to crackle between his fingertips. Attack. You charge the man, hoping to reach him before he can unleash his magical attack. You reach the man and lay a well-placed blow on him, serving to drive him backwards into the wall of the cage, disrupting his attempt to summon fire. Seemingly unfazed by your attack, the man waves his left hand, and a swirling cloud of dust and sun suddenly envelopes him. The spinning cloud of dust sends you into a choking fit, and you're forced to retreat along the cave passages to the north. Okay. Is that going to happen every time? There's no longer any sign of the man in the leather tunic and a charred corpse here. You progress along the cave passage, comes to a halt when you suddenly find yourself confronted by 3 of the gruesome residents of the underground lair. I think it's good I started a new episode for this one, because this seems like it's going to take a long time. Oozing yellow slimes. Ew. You take a few moments to catch your breath and check over your equipment before once again setting off through the cave. What's going on down here? The small alcove is illuminated by the ghostly light of a floating orb of white flame that hovers 4 feet above the ground against the far wall. You watch it with great curiosity as now and again long arms of flame extend from the orb, nearly touching the ceiling of the cave. A long but steady pulsing sound accompanies the rotation of the fiery sphere. I mean, I have Arcana, so yes, we're going to take a look. You're certain the orb is part of a system that is supplying magical energy to some sort of nearby phenomenon. You know that such a device are often employed by powerful wizards who wish to channel their extra reserves of neutral energy to help maintain spell's duration for the extended period of time. Attack. You step boldly forward to attack the fiery white orb. As if the strange object has sensed your intentions, the orb begins to rotate more rapidly and the long columns of flame jet out towards you. How do you beat a floating orb? Blinding flash of white light fills the cave passages. The flame new orb fizzles loudly for a moment before going dark and dissipating into the air. Yes, like that. Alright, let's keep going. Pungent, foul odor permeates the dank subterranean lair. The cave walls glisten with moisture, and the echo of dripping water surrounds you. No, people are crazy about dripping water. Yes, more yellow slimes. And let's keep breathing, breathing, breathing. You know you gotta keep up. Hey. Something wet drips in your arm. You look up to horrified to find a large yellow slime dropping from the ceiling directly overhead. You've got a split second to act. Fortification! Protect, as Willow would say. The dropping yellow slime slams into the barrier of blue sparks. You've hastily erected and flies off onto the cave floor. You quickly display your magic shield and square off against the gruesome creature. It's a large one. Gross. Alright, take it. Spend the next several moments wiping the remains of the yellow slime from your clothing and equipment before once again setting off the cave. Ew. It's getting on my stuff. Gross. A small slime. Yay, rejuvenation. Keep your calm and stuff. Alright, let's keep going this way. More ceiling slime. But we're good. What's in here? There's more archives limited by a ghost ladder. Oh, it's an orb. Attack. Right, let's check downstairs. A web is down here. Oh, we get massive yellow slime now. Keep on. I mean, you got fortification, you gotta use it. You can use gating too to just move. And keep your common close. What's going on up here? Sudden jolt runs underneath your body, rattling your bones and sending you sprawling backwards onto the cave floor. It appears you have walked into some sort of invisible energy field. I'll show you why the experience was to allow you to step away from the invisible barrier and head back to the south. Awesome. So there's an invisible barrier here. Keep that in mind, friends. We'll go back the other way. We could get money every time we fight stuff. Up. There's more slime. Quick reaction has basically been caught underneath the dropping slime. So there's more dropping slime. Gross. And then every time you guys spend several minutes getting yellow goo off your stuff. A blinding flashing white light fills caves of flaming orbs, fizzles loudly for a moment before going dark and dissipating into the air. What kind of candy did I get? Did I not get any candy? I mean, that's all the orbs I come across, so I guess we gotta try the... I've been everywhere in here except this other place, so it's getting real tacky in here, and they must know I'm onto something. You step into a small chamber and immediately greeted by roaring laughter. A dark, massive shape looms into view out the shadows, and what emerges into your pool of light fills you with an overpowering sense of dread. Rising out of the writhing mass of yellow slime is a thickly muscled upper torso of an impossibly large man. The mutilated head that corresponds to the being's broad shoulders is set with a single eye. You're talking about a cyclops? That's basically the entire width of its face. The grotesque being snarls, revealing a mouth of razor-sharp teeth and a pair of flickering forked tongue. 2 forked tongues? A visitor, how wonderful, roars the ghastly creature. On behalf of my masters, I welcome thee, worm. Mountain of slime that serves the creature's lower half rise furiously as a massive abomination draws towards you from across the chamber. No mortal slime you that you cower before Graguth, Oxonian demon lord of the Vale of Misery, and servants of his lordship Zeral. A league high would be the powerful remains of heroes of every age who have foolishly tested metal against my might. I'm happy to find fresh insolence in my old slaughtering grounds. Graguth raises his massive arms, and 3 yellow slimes rise out of the undulating mass that make up his lower torso. Feast on us, spyless wretch, bellows the demon. I'm friends of demons. Didn't you see me help that other demon? 3 yellow slimes surge towards you. I defiantly hold my ground because I'm a badass. Whew. Yes, let's fight. We're done here. True error indeed, says Graguth as he draws a large scimitar from the scabbard sling across his wide back. My hold is filled with the bones of heroes, and my thrones rise out of the sea of their heads. Yours will be a welcome addition. The demon lord's scimitar cracks with the black tines of energy. Car Gragus waves his massive hand and sudden overpowering sense of nausea rises within you. That's right, suppression. Car Gragus again waves his massive hand, and two sizable rocks from the floor of the cave float into the air. With another wave, the two stones are sent hurtling across the chamber tube. Destruction, because why wouldn't we? Focus your never power of destruction on the pair of hurtling rocks and easily disintegrate them. A shower of dust and swollen breeze is all that reaches you. Set boldly toward the demon. Graguth cuts a wide arc with his scimitar as he slides across the chamber to meet your advance. The blade of his fearsome weapon is alive with the writhing tines of dark energy. Only tormented death away does you divide the will of Ulzerul. I grant thee both, insolent maggot. Or you're dead. Talk about that. Final glassy how the Onyxian demon lord slumps into the writhing pile of yellow slime at his base and becomes still. Gruggeth, the demon lord, I'm virtuous of misery, and the servant of Ulzerul is no more. Suddenly feel a bit more virtuous. All around the small chamber, the yellow slime that once heated the command of the Dark Master are slowly dissolving into pools of fetid brown water. You watch the phenomenon unfold for several minutes while enjoying a much-needed rest. While you have regained sufficient strength, you move up to examine the now barely recognizable corpse of the fallen demon lord. Ooh. The upper body of Graguth has begun to dissolve in a manner similar to that of the yellow slime shown about the chamber. However, you spot two items of interest as you rapidly disappearing corpse: his large scimitar and his dragon tooth amulet. A thorough search from the rest of the chamber reveals an odd collection of items. I'm good. When at last you're ready to proceed, you take one look around the chamber and make your way along the cave passage to the south. I have to walk back myself. Alright, what's up with the leg gonna do? Oh, it's two-handed. Can't stand two-handed. She wants me to take off one of my... What's Dragon Tooth do? It takes off agility though. I guess I'm gonna make me walk back. How rude. Out the cave. You stand at the edge of that opening in the forest floor, peering down into the shadowy mouth of a long hidden cave. Return to the village. You set off once for the village, but gone less than a dozen yards when the sound of a voice from behind calls you to stop. Turn around, sitting in the dark opening. The earth is just where you emerge. The man in the leather tunic you encountered upon first entering the cave. You begin to take note of the red diamond tattoos on the back of his hand, so that where the man rises, his right hand five begins to crack between his fingertips. Eerily, it seems as if you played out this. Yes, we have. As you charge towards the would-be assailant, he suddenly lowers his hand and becomes involved in a swirling cloud of dust and sand. In a matter of minutes, the clouds are settled, leaving no trace of the man in its wake. You hastily make your way back to Cornwall. Rector Pelbrin is overjoyed when you return, bearing news of your victory over the demon. He listens with wide-eyed disbelief as you describe him with the brutal battle of Graguth in the depths of the cave. Your reputation is indeed justified, he says. Right, King actually offered you all gold and jewels and you could carry, but alas for ours as simple existence and such things we do not have to get. Perhaps I might find you a bit of gold for your trouble, yet I hardly wish to insult you, Ellison. Well, I refused the rector's offer, saying that you were only too glad to be able to help. He seems relieved when you initiate a shoulder cross with him. He thanks you again, and after a warm meal and drink to fortify you for the road you prepared to set out on your short journey wrath of Trithic, Rector Pelgrim tells you to extend his kindest regards to Thane Pyrond, who watches as you depart for Trithic upon the same coach that bore you here. The return journey to Sryth is swift, and upon arrival you usher in to see the Thane, who welcomes the news of your victory with a broad smile and bids you to fill him with the details of what you've discovered. You've uncovered in Cornwall. Such dark tidings I would not have dared guess, he said as you finish your account. We are no doubt merely in the outset of what it will be regarded as a dark chapter in history. I fear that a nightmare stream of that now content to trickle shall soon roar. Our toilet system inflow have only just begun. I said toilets. I saw toilets. Our toil system its flow. That's why, because it's talking about flowing. And all the toilets have water. You make mention of the spellcaster you encountered the man in the tunic with the red diamond tattoos in the back of his hands. Thane Pyrond appears quite concerned. Time to get him a trail raise its head, but must not only guard the gate, but mind the rats that even now lurk among us, it seems. There are enemies inside our walls. This one is also deeply troubled. Thane Pyrond tells you that he received reports from many places far and wide of strange happening outside his and things, both unexplainable and terrifying. I confess that I shall call upon you once again in the coming days. There's much to do, and while we can do a little to prevent the dawning of the age, we will be ill advised to ignore every instinct and not do at least that which is within our means, so that we might stand against the rising of the tide. Stand in the rising of the tide, because rising tide raises all ships. Legend you bid to Thane farewell and set out to Trin Keep, and his ominous words echoing in your mind. End. I liked it a lot though. Keep scenes in the movie in my corner of my eye. I thought I brought my phone over here too. There's a lot of adventures just for Sryth as well. We're not too Sryth yet, so we're not worried about it. Oh my gosh, it's like midnight and I'm tired. Don't know why, because I didn't sleep at 2 yesterday and it was fine. Doing busy stuff like this. Alright, let's go back to the eastern part of the city. Going to the keep. Visit the Thane. Check the adventures. Oh, we got 2 now. The Empire learns of the recent troubling events in and around the nearby village of Werrett. Immediately calls upon his most trusted ally. The Empire's voice lowers his tone, become grim, and his smile fades to relate you an unsettling bit of news of the nearby village of Tuttlestock. Tuttlestock or Werrett. I like the name Werrett much better. And we are like to go in order. You're wondering why I'm doing this. I'm so tired. Alright, Werrett it is. Start. Less than half an hour after receiving Cressia presence in Trinkeep via messenger in Blade Square, you find yourself standing in Thane Pyrond's private chambers high in the main tower of the imposing fortress. The Thane, whose face bears a particularly visible bruise just below his left eye, is quick to play down the obvious wound. They have a bandy words with a man 3 tankers long and not on the lookout for retribution. And not be on the lookout. He laughs, tenderly stroking his purplish mark. In any event, a recent ill-conceived house exploits are hardly reason enough so much friend as you might as well already tell it. Thane Pyrond tells you that disturbing news reached him yesterday from the village of Werrett, west of Sryth. You learn that a sizable band of goblins have been spotted in the vicinity of Werrett in the last few days. Werrett. But that yesterday they attacked the village only to suddenly and inexplicably withdraw after inflicting several casualties on the unprepared and outmatched village militia. The strange tactic and their targeting in such innocuous places is odd, but not quite as troublesome as that particular detail furnished by members of the militia who served the attack. It seems that those goblins, these goblins, mountain goblins no less, were led into battle by a human and a man with a painted face. Your eyes widen at the mention of the human league of the goblins, and when you learn that it was the crude tattoo of a make-believe that concealed his face, quickly relates to the Pyrond you previously encountered with this man in Hawklaw. This is indeed disturbing, said Thane, pacing in front of the fire, his hand clasped behind his back and his shoulders bowed. Human agency hand in hand with such wild creatures as trees and against civilization itself. But this strikes harder yet. It bears the distinct marks of a greater scheme, perhaps yet in its infancy, but there's certainly more to this than can present be seen or even guessed at. Thane Pyrond tells you that he dispatched one of his men late yesterday, a mercenary captain by the name of Haspir, to assess the situation and wear it and send him a report. Haspir is a stalwart sort, he says, but he's headstrong and dangerously fond of action, even when calculating action might easily prove the more prudent course. I only say that I would trust your assessment of the situation over here, Allison, and I ask that you travel to wear it and send Haspir back here. Apart from that request, I will leave the situation in your hands. You will be free to pursue any course of action you see fit. Okay. Very well then, he says, meeting you in the shoulder close. I will have the coach drawn up to bear you to wear it. It should only take a couple hours to reach the village. You can't possibly begin to realize, Allison, how it puts my mind at ease, knowing the situation will be soon in your hands. Then Pyrond removes a steaming pot of palo from the hearth and moves to plain earthenware mugs with the black drink. May he return safely, he says, holding up his mug and salutes that impending departure. After finishing the steaming drink, you descend to the inner courthouse where a fine coach and a freshly harnessed team are awaiting your arrival. The driver tips his hat as you climb aboard and the wagon lurches forward, beginning what should be a short journey to the outlying village. If I'm pausing between reading, it's because my mind fell asleep. I can't believe you can fall asleep sitting out and reading. It's happening though. The relatively short trip to where it is uneventful, and after disembarking for the coach, you find Haspir near the centre of the village, pouring over a warm mat for the 5 members of the village militia in the town council building. What? You pull Haspir aside and explain to him in private Thane Pyrond's request. At once his face turns a bright shade of crimson. Without warning provocation, he strikes out with the back of his hand, landing a solid blow in the side of your face. Wow! Who do you think you are? He roars, stalking threateningly towards you as you recover from the surprise blow. Don't come down here and bark your orders at me. I don't care whose orders they happen to be. I'd say it's time someone taught you a few manners. You're hurriedly prepared to defend yourself against what appears to be an imminent and rather ill-conceived attack. Okay. Wow. He reached down and helped Haspir gain his feet. He mutters an incoherent apology and announces that he returned to Sryth as ordered. I'll obey the order of the Thane, he says, moving off to find his horse, but not some half-wit messenger. The name and listed deeds mean nothing to me. Thane Pyrond will learn of your rough treatment of me. And when he is mounted his steed and ridden out of sight, you sense that the young man of Werett's militia are breathing a collective sigh of relief. And I think, goodness. You speak with the 5 young men who make up the entire body of the local militia and learn that the goblins in question are currently held up in an abandoned barn in the middle of the overgrown field in the outskirts of the village. You learn that the 5 of them have seen the man with the painted face, and they said that he who led a raid on the village with the goblins to do his bidding. One of the youths who speaks as leader of the small group tells you that Haspir was planning an assault on the barn just prior to your arrival. A quick glance at the young man standing before you tells her, however, an assault will likely have ended in disaster. 5 members of the local militia are young, inexperienced, and could be quite fearful of the prospect of moving on goblins now taking refuge in the old barn. You realize then as you will that few of these young men would return from such an expedition, and it is for this very reason you diplomatically tell them that you will handle the goblins in the barn while they maintain watch and wear it. The lads seem to leave, but one of them, the apparent leader, begins basically along with you, promises to fight by your side. His creatures who savagely attacked his village. Despite your admiration for his bravery, you convince him that he will be best serving his village by remaining behind to guard it. You ask to show where the barn is, and are led to an overgrown field on the outskirts of where it's standing. In the midst of the field is a dark, timbered, dilapidated barn. The entire structure appears to be close to collapse and is pronounced lean to one side. The 2 young men who have led you here wish you luck and depart for where it to embark upon what you pray will be, for their sake, an uneventful vigil. For the remainder of the afternoon, you linger about the edge of the grassy field that surrounds the dilapidated barn, eagerly seeking any sign that the goblins are still inhabiting the decayed structure. At last, your vigilant pays off when the brief spell 2 mounting goblins emerge from the barn before quickly retreating into its shadowy interior. Realizing That the open terrain offers no cover for advance upon any side of the bomb. You wait until the first shadows of dust have draped themselves across the landscape for making your way what you hope will be a swift and stealthy approach across the field. You're within 50 yards of the bomb when a massive explosion to your left shakes the ground and startles you. You turn your gaze skyward in time to see a small object sail out of the hole in the bomb roof and arc of the area general direction. You realize suddenly that the deadly object falling out of the sky upon you is a goblin bomb. You must act quickly if you avoid being caught in the deadly radius of the goblin bombs and impending detonation. Fortification. The goblin bomb strikes your rapidly erected magical barrier and explodes. The force of the detonation knocks you to the ground, but you are otherwise unharmed. You quickly spell your shield and continue across the field toward the barn. You mutter a curse as yet another of the deadly goblin bomb launches out of the large hole in the barn roof and arcs through the air towards you. You must act quickly if you are to avoid being caught in the deadly radius. Do telekinesis this time. Calling upon your power of telekinesis, you focus it upon the rapidly descending goblin bomb and manage to thrust the deadly explosive off course. The bomb lands a considerable distance from you and detonates harmlessly. You continue across the field toward the barn. Another one. And another one. I like the telekinesis. I mean, we're just hanging out here. Alas, it seems that whoever or whatever's in the barn is out of the deadly goblin bombs, taking full advantage of what may only prove to be a momentary reprieve. You rush across the field as fast as your legs will carry you, desperate to try to reach the wall of the barn. Two spear-wielding goblins spring out of the tall grass as you reach the barn wall. You stubbornly hold the ground and engage the smelling creatures as they attack from both sides. Death! Your final blow dispatches the second goblin. He slumped to the ground, joining the elbow range of his falling kin. Almost immediately, you're confronted by a trio of the savage creatures that appear around the corner of the barn. The three goblins, wielding an array of crude weapons, rush at you and attack. Just the bloody remains of three goblins lay entwined about your feet. You step free of the carnage and are about to move forward when you sound overhead alerts you to impending danger. You peer up and see two goblins dropping a massive rock from the roof of the barn. Rock is plummeting straight for you. Barely have a second to react. You leap forward, praying that you're in time to avoid this. Pain exploded through your body as the heavy stone crashes down upon your back. You're driven to the ground beneath the crushing weight of the plummeting rock. Still alive, you stagger to your feet. Of course I'm still alive. I only lost 20 stamina. And moving along the side of the barn toward the front, your progression is brought up to an abrupt halt, however, as the tip of the barbed-bladed axe appears around the corner of the structure just ahead. A large axe-wielding goblin rounds the corner of the barn and starts moving toward you. His deadly weapon appears poised to cleave you in two. You plant your feet and boldly hold your ground as a savage creature approaches. It's a mountain goblin. He topples to the ground and strikes hard. He gives a final ragged gasp and expires. I'm asleep. I fell asleep. Before you've had a moment to catch your breath, four more of the vicious creatures are upon you, hacking at you with their crude weaponry. Or they're dead. Nimbly leap, and you spring over the remains of the four slain goblins, move toward the front of the barn. You reach a broad frame that once housed a wide barn doors and find yourself confronted by a large number of armed goblins. Despite the chorus of vicious snarls, the vast majority of the cruel creatures turn and flee, having no desire to face a bold human tearing their way through their ranks. Two large goblins, each wielding broadswords, do not flee, and savage spear charges you, swinging their blades wildly. Or they're dead. The two mountain goblins lie face down in the expanding pool of blood at your feet. A massive goblin near twice as large as the rest of his kin appear and hurls curses at the others as they flee wildly, scattering out the barn in all directions, eager to escape your wrath. The vicious snarl of the fearsome goblin rushes forward and attacks. Or is dead. Large mountain goblin staggers and drops to the ground at your feet. A final blow ensures that he will never rise again. For several tense moments before the fight, you stand with bated breath, listening intently for any sound that might indicate the further presence of any enemy within the barn. A sudden sharp snap from somewhere in the barn's cavernous interior seems to prove that your caution was not misguided. You're reminded of the mention of the man, the painted face, and you wonder if he it is he who still lurks in some shadowy corner in the dilapidated corner structure. Yes, let's hit thievery. Utilizing your skill of thievery, you notice small traces of dirt on the rungs of the ladder leading up to the loft. Clearly certain that there you will find whoever or whatever has remained in the barn. You climb the ladder and begin your search. You begin a thorough and closer search of the barn loft. Suddenly, Spider-Man crouched in the shadows ahead on your right. After firmly planting your feet and assuming a defensive stance, you call out to him, dashing any place he might ambush you. The man slips silently out of the shadows. A tall, bare-chested man, his head covered by a long mane of wild black hair, stands 5 yards from you. A crude tattoo in the shape of a maple leaf covers his face, and he flashes you a wicked grin, revealing a set of sharp, pointed teeth not unlike those of a goblin. His thin-fingered hands grip 2 bone-handled knives, and the only scrap of clothing covering his body is a pair of tattered breeches that barely cling to his long, sinewy legs. Suddenly, the man snarls and lunges at you, springing forward with animal-like agility and striking out with your pair of blades. That's a good hit. What? Bench warrior leaps back out of the melee range and dashes toward the back of the barn. You immediately set upon his heels. He leaps through the hole in the rear wall next to the structure. You reach the hole and peer out of it, but much to your surprise, you see no sign of your enemy. Then, suddenly, the spattered feet of the barn roof gives way as an indication. You follow the sound of the footfalls back towards the front of the barn with all possible haste. Rushing to the wide door frame of the barn, you spot the last of fleeting grips with your painted foe as he disappears into the woods to the south. Realizing you have little hope of catching him, you decide not to give chase and instead take your attention back to the barn. You search the barn thoroughly, but find no sign that any more goblins or painted men inhabit the rotting structure. In a collapsed stall near the back of the barn, you discover a cloth sack containing small amounts of gold, which you take. Satisfied there are no further immediate dangers from the goblins or their painted leader, you make your way back to the village. You return to where it and report once the members of the village militia. The news of your victory over the goblins was met with praise and thanks, though its impact is somewhat tempered by the fact that the warrior with the painted face managed to escape. You do your best to ensure the young man that the painted man is not likely to return to the East, but certainly not anytime soon. You promise to bear full reports of Thane Pyrond so he may act as he sees fit in defense of the outlying villages like Sryth. The village thanks you again, and you politely resist officers of hospitality, favoring instead a speedy return to Sryth. Seated in the steady chair before the roaring fire in Thane Pyrond's private chamber high in the main tower of Trin Keep, you relate to Thane the detail your excursion to Sryth. Sitting directly across from you, Thane Pyrond listens intently to your narrative. When it's concluded, he raises his chair and leans against one of the ornate mantle of the fireplace. The man with the painted face, he mutters as he's thinking aloud. It serves a memory, Ellison, though I'm hard-pressed to come up with more than that. I don't know the sound of it, however, and I shall make certain the word goes out that I fear may not be just an isolated encounter. We can at last take consolation in the fact that the disaster has been reversed by Sryth. With the thanks owed to you, of course. The grateful Thane commends you several times for having done a remarkable job. Oh, he said suddenly, as if he was about to say it, nearly slipped his mind. There's another matter I wish to address with you. No! Thane tells you that Hackspear has been disciplined for his conduct towards you, and that the treatment he received at your hands was not only much deserved, but also long overdue. We all forget ourselves from time to time, he says, slipping you are slapping you on the shoulder as he moves to refill your half-empty paler mug. There's nothing quite as effective as a few hard knocks to stimulate one's memory. The Empire says that he may soon have another task well suited to your particular talents. It's a rather delicate matter, he explains, and it presently all coming together. I expect that very soon you may find yourself in receipt of a message from me bidding you take your way back to this very room. Until then, my friend, let the old father cast his watchful eye upon you, wherever your road may lead. At length you take your leave of the Thane, but as you make your way out of Trin Keep and back into the streets of Sryth, you find yourself unable to shake your mind image of the Moor with the painted face. You're feeling his silent, glaring, leaf-wrapped face will likely haunt your dreams for some time to come. Alright. That is the end of this episode. We're dealing with the Thane some more. Thanks so much for hanging out and joining me. You know I'm gonna say peace.